at this afternoon's top stories. Nevis Premier presents the 2017 budget address. Ruling party wins local government elections in Jamaica. And the North Carolina governor disputes election results. Good afternoon. Welcome to the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Today is Wednesday, November 30th, 2016. I am Shaira Flanders. Nationally, the Nevis Island Assembly is sitting in chambers at Hamilton House today, where Premier of Nevis and the Minister of Finance in the Nevis Island Administration, NIA, Honorable Vance Amory, will present the 2017 budget address. Minister Amory is tabling the draft estimates 2017, which is expected to be followed by statements by ministers and personal explanations. The Minister of Finance is also expected to introduce and read for the first time the Nevis Appropriation 2017 Ordinance 2016, which will be followed by public business and a move by Mr. Amory for the bill's second reading. An outline of fiscal measures for the ensuing year will also be made by Mr. Amory, and he will then seek an adjournment to allow members of the opposition to go through the budget to return on Thursday to respond to the budget when the debate will commence. The final item will be resolutions. As Nevis's Ministry of Social Development finalizes plans for Wednesday's Women's Forum, preparations are already on the way for a similar event for men sometime afterwards. Junior Minister of Social Development, Honorable Hales Brandy Williams, told the ZIZ that the Men's Forum forms part of a larger series of events on social issues.
Another activity that will be held as a part of the overarching 16 days of activism is a men's forum, and that will be held on the 7th of December. And then thirdly, we will culminate those activities with a T-shirt day, and that T-shirt is Stop the Violence Against Women.
Wednesday's Women's Forum is expected to bring together female leaders and professionals from across St. Kitts and Nevis, as well as male observers from all age groups to discuss a number of topics. The one-day Women's Forum is being held today at the Mount Nevis Hotel and runs until 3:30 p.m. The Chief Executive Officer of the Citizenship by Investment Unit, Les Khan, has been confirmed as the special guest on Wednesday's edition of Working for You on ZIZ Radio. Mr. Khan is expected to speak about the St. Kitts and Nevis Citizenship by Investment Program, or CBI, which has been identified as the oldest program of its kind in the world. Additionally, Mr. Khan will speak to the challenges faced by the CBI program over the last few years and the changes/reforms that have been implemented in recent times, among other related issues. Working for You features government officials, heads of government departments, permanent secretaries, and other government officials who provide relevant information as it relates to the social, economic, human, political, and sustainable development of St. Kitts and Nevis. Working for You is broadcast live every Wednesday on ZIZ, Win FM, and Sugar City Rock from 1:30 to 3 p.m. Working for You is also streamed live on the SKNIS Facebook page.
Look at this. Somebody come look at this.
It's what an entertainment life. Can't improvise cause there's so much inside. So, fashion is style, but on the street will make you smile. People show youth awareness, interest in the fashion closet, and many more that you cannot resist. Now, for young and old, it's not my show, that's how we roll. What's up?
Hi, I'm Carla Burridge. Join me weekdays at 7 p.m. for ZIZ's evening newscast. We'll let you know what's happening in your community.
And on the regional scene, the government in Guyana is proposing to inject an additional $9 billion for the operations of the Guyana Sugar Corporation in 2017. This now takes the government bailout total to $32 billion in less than 2 years. HGP's Royden James has that story.
Old age pensioners are to get an increase of $800 monthly on their vouchers, and recipients of public assistance are to receive $7,500 monthly. The income tax threshold is to be increased from $55,000 monthly to $60,000. The government also proposes to reduce VAT to 14% from 16%, while the VAT threshold may rise from $10 million to $15 million. Minister Jordan announced that an environmental tax is also on the agenda. That will entail a $10 tax on bottles and cans used to retail beverages by the various companies as Banks DIH, Buster, and others. Passports will also be more costly next year. The new fee will be $6,000, a 50% increase. The government proposes to inject an additional $9 billion for the operations of Gaisuko in 2017. This now takes the government bailout total to $32 billion in less than 2 years. The announcement was made on Monday by Finance Minister Winston Jordan when he presented the 2017 national budget. He also reminded the nation of the current state of Gaisuko, saying that Gaisuko in its current form is a millstone around the neck of the nation.
The status quo of the sugar industry can neither be sustained nor maintained. As currently structured, the industry will require government support to the tune of $18.6 billion and $21.4 billion for the years 2017 and 2018 respectively. This is an untenable position, one that will seriously jeopardize the fiscal stance of the government while compromising resource allocation to other critical and important areas.
The $9 billion which is budgeted for the corporation is half of what was requested.
Meanwhile, for 2017, the government has made an allocation of $9 billion to support the financing of Gaisuko's operations. This brings to $32 billion the amount of resources that have been provided to this corporation since government acceded to office in May 2015.
The minister reiterated that tough decisions will have to be made with regards to Gaisuko by the end of 2016.
The stark reality of the situation is that money injected into sugar in its current state is money wasted. It will make no impact on the operating losses and cash deficit status of the industry. Radical reorganizing of the sugar industry is required as a matter of urgency for the continued postponement of the hard decisions on Gaisuko's future will result in the corporation incurring even more debts.
Roy Den James, HGP Nightly News.
The governing Jamaica Labour Party, JLP, has won the local government elections, which were held on Monday. Preliminary results indicate that the JLP won 9 of the municipal corporations, while the People's National Party, PNP, won 3. There was a tie in St. Thomas, with both parties taking 5 divisions. The corporations won by the JLP include Kingston and St. Andrew, Kesak, Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne, Trelawney, St. James, St. Elizabeth, Clarendon, and St. Catherine. Those won by the PNP include the parishes of Hanover, Westmoreland, and Manchester. As it relates to the in St. Thomas Director of Elections, Orrit Fisher, said the party with the popular vote, the JLP, will select the mayor, while the PNP councillors will select the deputy mayor. In the Portmore municipality, voters were given the opportunity to select the mayor directly. Leon Thomas of the PNP won 12,939 votes, while the JLP's Keith Blake got 11,182 votes. Addressing supporters at the JLP's headquarters in Kingston, Prime Minister Andrew Holness said their commitment to the party has resulted in victory. Holness further noted that the victory is also an indication that the government is on the right path to transform and grow the country. And on the international scene, 3 weeks after the U.S. election, a Republican governor in North Carolina is refusing to concede defeat. He says the vote was marred by irregularities, but his opponents are accusing him of trying to grab power. Here's more.
Opponents of North Carolina Governor Pat McCrory are suspicious.
No hate, no fear, no stealing our election.
McCrory is refusing to accept he lost in November's election and is calling for a recount, though there's no evidence of mass irregularities. Here, they suspect he's hoping to delay the election result long enough so that the Republican-controlled state assembly will step in and choose a winner, him, as it's allowed to do in a contested election. It may seem just too brazen, but civil rights leaders say this is a brazen administration. It's been known to ram through controversial bills, sometimes in the middle of the night, with little notice.
They have no credibility. We hope they will not do it, but we're not going to sit around and twiddle our thumbs and not be prepared if they do it.
That's not all. The state's Supreme Court tilted to the left in November's election after a Democratic judge unseated a Republican. Now it's being suggested the Republicans may simply expand the number of justices on the Supreme Court, appoint 2 new Republican justices, and then wipe out the new liberal majority. Mitch Kokai says the idea was floated almost immediately after the election, so he checked the state constitution and was surprised to find that it was possible. He works for a conservative think tank, but even he says nothing can be ruled out.
Politically, I think it would be a terrible idea. Constitutionally, they would be well within their rights to do it.
The Republicans have long been bold in North Carolina, for example, in making it more difficult to vote. They passed new ID laws and restricted both early voting and same-day registration. In overturning some of these laws, a federal court found Democrat-leaning African-American voters were being targeted by the state, quote, with almost surgical precision. It's this record that makes so many suspicious of the governor, even as he claims it's his voters who've been disenfranchised. The Republicans didn't respond to our request for an interview, but political scientist Stephen Green says the possibility of such a naked power grab can't be discounted.
Yeah, it would be an extreme step for the legislature to take some of these actions, but I think a lot of people feel legitimately, well, they have taken some pretty extreme steps.
But if you try to steal this election, we're going to have mass civil disobedience right here in North Carolina.
So, in North Carolina, this long election is still far from over. Shihab Ratansi, Al Jazeera, Raleigh, North Carolina.
Iran's supreme leader has said the U.S. is on the verge of breaking the terms of the nuclear agreement, which was signed in 2015. More in this report.
This is Iran's supreme leader's unofficial Instagram account, and this was posted on Sunday evening.
During the negotiations, there was a lot of debate about the sanctions, but now they raise the issue of extending the sanctions in the US Congress and claim that these are not new sanctions but a renewal of old ones. Initiating sanctions is no different from renewing them after their expiration, and the latter is also sanctions and violations of the previous commitments by the opposite side.
This is what Ayatollah Ali Khamenei is referring to. The United States House of Representatives voted overwhelmingly to renew the Iran Sanctions Act for another 10 years. The bill gives the United States the right to punish even foreign companies that make an investment of more than $20 million in 1 year in Iran's energy sector. President-elect Donald Trump has already said that the nuclear agreement with Iran is one of the worst deals the United States has ever made. Another message, which was recorded shortly after the vote in the United States, was posted on the account with English subtitles.
من اینجا لازم بدونم عرض بکنم اگر حالا کارهای متعددی کردن تخلف‌های متعددی کردن یکی دوتا نیست تازه ترینش این تمدید تحریم 10 ساله است اگر این تحریم بشود قطعاً نقض برجامه.
So what options does Iran have?
Probably add up a number of cascades of centrifuges, maybe 6 to 7 centrifuge machines, and also relaunching its closed facility, Fordo facility.
The nuclear agreement of 2015 has been hailed as the greatest achievement of President Hassan Rouhani's government until now. Many here say Iran has to respond to the renewed calls for U.S. sanctions. Although there is skepticism, government officials are hopeful that last year's nuclear agreement will be successful. If it's not, Iran's economic future and that of President Rouhani will be at stake. Dorsa Jabari, Al Jazeera, Tehran.
And now for the weather. Present weather is fair. Winds are from the south to southeast at 6 to 12 miles per hour. Seas are slight to moderate with waves up to 6 feet. The weather forecast predicts partly sunny to cloudy skies with a chance of locally cloudy spells and localized showers today. Tonight is expected to be cloudy with the chance of scattered showers. Sunset today will be at 5:35 p.m. and sunrise tomorrow will be at 6:25 a.m. That brings us to the end of the ZIZ Midday Newscast. Join us this evening for these stories and more in detail. Thank you so much for tuning in. I am Shaira Flanders. Have a good one.